So here we are in PSA CRM 2013. When you install PSA 2013 and when we look at the main menu, we will find PSA here as an extra solution. The dashboards and the standard dashboards can be found in the workplace. So here you find the standard PSA dashboard that we provide, but also, for example, the PSA revenue dashboard where we see the revenue month by month and year by year. So we see that all here. That's all available here. When you install PSA, you will find PSA here. So when I hit this specific PSA tile, we start with projects. So we have a list of all the projects here. And we can, of course, here find our views. And we can also go into the PSA solution here and we find all the menu options we have for PSA. So we start with projects. For everybody that is very picky and is very knows the UI of PSA very well, we see that the icons are changed. They have that same flat UI that you are familiar with in CRM. So we find projects here, the items, the programs, the calculation lines. Then you find here some gray buttons that are basically the integration to the Silverlight components. At this moment in CRM, it's not possible to color those tiles in a different color and put even an icon on there. So that's a pity for us, but okay, we need to live with it at this moment. We are depending on Microsoft. Here we find, for example, the hours, and we see the list of hours. So that's how you navigate through the PSA menu. So it goes very fast, as you can see. Here at the right side, we have the normal chart capability where you can find the charts. In this case, let's see. I want to see all the project by project status. I see here. Then all the projects by project status. So that's how that works. We can expand the charts by clicking here. We can make it smaller, so that works all the same. We can put it completely. We can put it completely away. The ribbon here is still there, but it's minimized and extended. If you want to see the extension of the ribbon, we find here the extended ribbon, and we can, for example, set the chart pane off. Filtering here. At the right upper corner we have this filter button and we can start filtering. What's a new nice feature of CRM? If you create a specific filter, then you can save your filter as a new view. So organically you can create a specific view and then you can save it as a new view for the next time. If you are in the standard CRM entities, for example in leads or in accounts, let's say you are working here on a specific account. Here your list of active accounts, so here we have a list of all active accounts, and suddenly we need to create a project. We leverage the quick create option. So if you want to create an activity or you want to create a project or an account, you don't have to navigate through that specific option. You can hit quick create here, and in this case you have a couple of options, and one of those options is create a project with the quick create. So hit quick create here, then we get this little quick create panel that you can of course customize, but we put in as minimum fields that we need. And in this case I'm creating here a project recruiting, in this case CFO for US operation. We select the template, we select an account. We can select a specific currency, in this case it's euro. We can already select the supervisor and the project manager, but it's not even necessary, and hit save. And now, after the save, the project is created. And here we see the project is created. And when I now go navigate to the PSA module, we see here we have this project created. So that's how that works. I'm just going to delete this project now. So I keep my database a little bit clean after all the demos. I see there's a question coming in. So this was a new feature, by the way, the quick create. So I'm just going to look at my question screen here. Give me some time to arrange my screen. Okay. So there's a question coming in from Alex van der Eiken. Do you have plans to integrate Jammer in PSA 2013? Yes, we have. It's a good question, Alex. So you have those activity feeds in CRM 2013. You find them here in the workplace. So when you go, for example, to your social marketing social here, or you go to your social dashboard here, in this case CRM overview social. We have that activity stream here, and we'll also integrate that activity stream, those posts, that post wall on a project. So that is definitely something we are looking into. But at this moment, it's not possible to put that on custom entities, so that will change, and we're waiting for that change before we can apply that to a project, for example. Good question. Yeah. Please also let me know if your question is answered well. If you don't have another question, if your question is answered well, please let me know. Okay, thanks. Okay, back to PSA. So when we go into PSA, first option is to create a project with the quick create, which goes very well. Another option is that you can create a project from a lead. So if you look at the lead, you have that business process flow, and then the next step could be a project. That's something you also find in PSA. But for now, I'm going to create a project directly here from the project list. So I hit new, and then we find the project screen here, the project form. First, what you see is this new bar, the business process flow section, where we can find, in this case, 3 steps: identify, stakeholders, and financial. This is basically a combination of a wizard, a workflow, and creating something new, and helping the user creating something new, in this case a new project. So in the identify stage, in the identify step, we need a project name. So in this case, I'm doing a pilot for PSA 2013. That's my project name. Then we select a template. Shoe Step Rapid. We have a starting date on the project that starts at the end of October. We have a project type, software implementation, project status. So these are some main fields that I require in the identification process of a project. And as you can see, by selecting fields here, we will see that the form is automatically populated. So instead of basically navigating through the form and figuring out what to fill in, we created an identify stage to create a project. After my first stage, identification, I can hit save, and then I'm able to go to the next stage in this process of creating a project. So after the save, you will find the project name here, pilot for PSA, and now we can move up one step to the stakeholder step. You see the flag is changing now, and we want to have some responsible stakeholders here. So I'm the project supervisor, my colleague Oscar is one of the project managers, and the person that needs to approve the invoice is also me. So I can key in some names here, and then I can, in this case, go to the next stage, in this case the financial stage. Those stages can be modified, by the way, so as a partner or as an end user, if you know how to modify them, you can modify those processes and create more stages or less stages, or don't use this whole process bar at all. But I find it really cool to demo this and to show this to people, especially new PSA users. They love this way of creating a project. It really guides them through the process of creating a project. In the financial step, I have some new fields. We have cost center and legal entity and department. So that are some new fields that are available in PSA 2013 that will be used for the financial integration. So we have legal entity, that's basically your company name, so which company this project is related to and which department, and that will be used for your financial backend and financial integration. Department and legal entity are related, so that means I can have multiple departments on one specific company, and I can connect a company and a department to a project, but also to an employee that is then will be used in the future for the intercompany functionality. If I finalize the last step, I can close my process bar basically, and let's walk through the project. You see we have now a 3-column project, so we have summary, that's divided in some little sections like projects, stakeholders, properties, and accounts, and then we have here the financial tab. These are tabs, so you can very easily, as you can see, just close them or open them again. Another thing what you need to understand is that the standard screen, the standard form of PSA is called information, so that's still there. So when we look at here information, you will still find the classic PSA 2011 screen. You will still find it here. So this is the old screen. So if you've done customizations in your current install of the project form, you have probably done that in the information form. So you can find those customizations still in information form. But because CRM 2013 allows us to create a 3-column form, we have redesigned the project form. So best practice is basically to migrate your customizations of fields from the information screen to the general screen. That is basically redesigned to really leverage the 3-column capability of CRM 2013. So this is basically the new screen. So if you upgrade from PSA 2011 to 2013, you maybe start in the information form. So if you want to see this form, just change the form to general, and then you have the new designed PSA form. Of course, the next time you will re-enter into a project, you will start with the general form. But your old form, your old PSA 2011 form, with maybe your customizations, is still there. So when we scroll down, we see the financial tab. We have here team members. We don't have pop-ups anymore, so I can just hit plus and enter a team member, and as you can see, you will see then the team members appearing here by just entering the name, but it's just entering this little plus, so it goes pretty fast. For the rates, we have we use a quick create, so you will see a little panel overlaying the project, so I don't leave the project, so I can say, okay, for my hour type consultancy, we have a standard rate of 120, and now I hit save, and then I've created a quick create, just one rate for my consultancy rate. So it's very easy to create a new rate for a specific hour type that is applicable for this project by just hitting the plus, and it will go into a quick create. And now for the project manager, we have a standard rate of $200 of 200 euro in this case for this specific project. And here you see then the specific project rates that I just created. When we scroll down more, we see details. Details are basically your item section where you can find all the details of your project. To delete a specific project item, we have this little trash can here, so that's a new option. So then you can select just one line and delete that line. If you want to delete multiple items, you really need to go into the grid of this related entity of those items. So to go into the grid, you hit this little button here, and then you basically see the items in a specific in a separate screen where you can find all the items here. And then you have the capability to, for example, do a multiple delete, a multi-delete action or a multi-edit action like I'm doing now. So I'm deleting a couple of items here now. If you want to drill into the item to change, for example, my value of the item, it's just double click. Again, no pop-up. It just opens in basically the whole screen changes in this case in the item, and then we have here diagnostic, and then we can put in a fixed fee of, for example, 25,000 euro, and then we don't have to save anymore. So that's new. So you don't have to save anything anymore. There's an auto save going on all the time. So if I now go to my next item, high level design, my first item is automatically saved. So let's change this specific item in time and material. And now when I want to go back to my project, that's a challenge in the beginning if you are starting with CRM 2013 and PSA, but if you want to go back to the project, best practice is to just hit the project here. So when I hit the project here, click on the project, I will go back into my project screen, and I'm now re-entering basically into my project. And here we see now that we have diagnostic for 25K, and high level design is time and material. I did not hit save, it saves automatically. One of the things that we are leveraging also in PSA 2013 is the business rule that you can apply. On every forum you can create business rules, and one of the business rules we've created, if you do not have a budget, so you basically your budget is zero, and you have a contract value, so your contract is higher than your budget, you get a warning. That's a standard business rule we put on the project form general. You can change that business rule by just going into the form editor, and then you can change the form and you can change that business rule. Business rules can be created on specific fields of a specific form and can produce a warning, but also can change a value in a field. So this is just an example of a business rule that is checking if there is a budget, and if the budget is if the contract value is maybe higher than your budget. So in this case, if I don't want to have this warning anymore, you see the warning again here. I need to have a value on my budget. So my fixed value is 25K, but let's say I have a contract and my budget is also 25K, then we will see we don't have that warning anymore. I also want to have a budget on my high level design. So instead of putting in an amount, that's my contract value, I put in a budget here of €15,000. And now I have also an estimated value on my high-level design. So now we see here, it's also new, the total contract value is 25K fixed fee, and the other one is high-level design, is time and material, so this will increase when I do time entry. And here we have my budget also here in this little tile appearing, and of course the project number. When we scroll down to the details, we see the same information, of course, diagnostic and high-level design. And then the next section are my actuals. So time entry in PSA works exactly the same in 2013 as in 2011. So I'm just going to open another tab and open another CRM 2013 session. And my project is still here, as you can see, and here we have a new session. And I'm now going to navigate to my time sheet solution. So I'm going to open up my timesheet, and instead of scrolling to the right with my mouse or going from right to left, I can use my little scroll wheel on my mouse. That's really very handy. Or I have a touch screen here, you don't see it, but I touch timesheet now, and now the timesheet is starting and we can book some time. The Silverlight components like the timesheet, utilization sheet, the Gantt chart are all there, are all working, and as you can see, they really stand out with the new CRM 2013 UI, because we can now use the full screen, and it gives me more information on my utilization sheet or on my timesheet. So I'm going to enter some time here. So let's enter some time here, and I hit new entry, and I'm going to select my project. In this case, recruiting. It's project number 17. Pilot for PSA. I want to book some time on high-level design, and I did a scope session. With double S. Okay, accept, and now my time is booked. So this works exactly the same as we expect from 2011 to 2013. You can copy the entry. All this works the same, so I'm just going to paste this now for a couple of days. We did a scope session for 3 days, and here we did something else. Just going to do a new entry directly here. Select my project again, pilot for PSA. I'm working on high-level design, 7.5 hours, and I had a meeting with key user team. Accept, and my time is booked. Working with different tabs is really works very nice. I can open another tab here and have a dashboard there, or put there my utilization sheet. So that works very nicely. I think because everything is now full screen, it feels more natural to work with multiple tabs instead of only one tab. So here I can, for example, open my sales forecast or my utilization sheet. When I navigate back to my project here, we see here actuals. In this case, it's still empty. You see that you don't have the refresh button. To refresh your subgrid list here, it's just a matter of right mouse click and then refresh list, and then hopefully we see some time appearing here. So here you see some time appearing now. I'm going to also enter some expenses. So on this specific entry, I had some expenses. So we select here my expense, project expense actual item, and I had a flight to New York City. It cost me $800. Can have an attachment there. In this case, I'm fine with that, and the expense is booked. And again, when we go back to my project form here and we just refresh this list of expenses, we will find here this expense that I just booked. Okay, so now we see the actuals, we see the expenses, and now when we scroll back to my details here, we see that my amount is still empty, but when I just refresh the list, we see now the amount is increased with, in this case, my hours that I've entered, and here the €800 for the expense of the New York flight. So that's all there. So here we have the actuals, we have the expenses here, and here we have then the capability to start the invoice process. So I can go here into the menu button and just start my invoice option from here, or I can start my batch invoicing. So if I go, for example, to my main list of projects here, I can also click here on batch invoicing and create a batch of invoices for multiple projects. So in this case, I'm going to create a batch invoice for my time and material projects, and I want to see all the hours and expenses that I've booked until the last day of November because I booked some stuff in the future. And then we will find here my pilot PSA project, where we find my billable expenses, €800, and my hours. I check that, hit OK, and now the invoice is created by PSA. The invoice still needs to be approved, so we will find the invoice as a to be approved invoice. So when I hit OK, I close this, and when I navigate, for example, to my invoice option here, we find here invoices. We then see here all the invoices that I need to approve. And we find here my invoice pilot for PSA 2013. When we look at the invoice, also the invoice screen will start full screen, so no pop-ups here again. One of the things that's new in CRM 2013 is that you now have the inline edit, and especially for hour invoicing, that's really great because you see here the quantity of hours that you can change inline. So let's say I want to invoice more hours than 16.5, I want to invoice 20 hours, I can just change that in 20 here. So that's really great functionality. And as you can see now, the value is updated to €2,400, so that's directly is updating my my hour. I can also double click and see the invoice line in detail, so that's still an option. But you can just inline edit here the invoice lines. The old subgrid, where we show you also the hour type in employee, is still there. So you can just change this view here to the product subgrid view, and then you find my name, in this case the employee, the consultant. And here when we scroll to the right, we see the euro value per hour and then the quantity of hours. So that's still there. But the inline edit, it's standard new CRM functionality. The inline edit is only available at this moment in the invoice entity, and but we can leverage this in the future, for example, also for calculation lines, to create a calculation in PSA. So here we have the invoice lines, we have here the summary of the invoice, and we have here some other values like the details where we can create a phone call and activity, and here we find the preview of the invoice as well. So that's there as well. One of the downsides of the new invoice screen is that the report option, to print a report directly from the invoice, you see your invoice report, but it's just to connect a specific report to the invoice section. But to print a report from here is not possible. You need to go to the invoice list, and then you can print a report. So when I'm in the invoice list, I can select, for example, this specific invoice, and then we will find here reports, and then we can start creating an invoice report. So you really need to print reports from the invoice list, and you cannot print an invoice report from the invoice form. That will be changed in the future regarding to Microsoft, but at this moment that's by design how it is. So to print your invoice reports, you need to go to the invoice list of reports, and then you can find the invoice reports there. So invoice is now created, and of course when we go back to PSA and we go back to the project, in this case pilot for PSA 2013, and then we will find here in the financial section, we will find here my contract value, my amount that's invoiced, my budget 40K still, to be invoiced 24K, and here 1950. The 24K is coming from of course my fixed fee. You see here my actual hours, my estimated hours. In this case we don't have an estimation in hours, we just put in a value, and we see here the selling value. So a nice financial section with all your financial indications here. And here we have the details, of course, that you're used to. Here we see my actual section. All the screens are designed that if the business process bar is closed, then they are more or less full screen available. So here we see then invoices, and we find here basically my invoice that I just created. When we want to move to, for example, advanced functionality like Gantt chart functionality, they are all closed, but we can open them, of course, and when we open the Gantt chart will be loaded on the PSA form. I see there are some questions, so this is maybe the time to move to some questions. So are those components developed in Silverlight or HTML5? They're still developed in HTML or in Silverlight. We will move some components in the future to HTML5. For example, the project status app is HTML5. one of the other apps are based on HTML5, but this is still Silverlight, and we are looking into moving maybe them from Silverlight to HTML5, but at this moment HTML5 does not give us enough capabilities to move all the, for example, all the can chart functionality to HTML5. So what you see now, Kevin, is still Silverlight. So here the can chart, of course we can create a new project item activity here. Let's say in the analysis phase we want to work on high level or diagnostic, and we are in the scope phase. This works the same as you are used in PSA 2011. So you can find the Silverlight component also here in working well, as you can see, in the CRM 2013 environment. For people that are maybe did not update the PSA 2011 version to the latest update pack, you see you have now also hours here, so you can also enter a number of hours here for your budget instead of only days and utilization percentage, and that will overrule those days and those utilization percentages. So if you say, okay, my duration of an activity is 18 days and my budget is 40 hours, then you can just change this in 40 hours, connected to a specific hour type, and then your calculation will be done by PSA. So let's say for diagnostic I have I have a phase, scope phase, and it will take 144 hours for the consultant. Then I can upgrade this to my calculation. In this case, I just want to create a new entry for my high-level design. And in the high-level design, I'm working on a proof of concept phase. I hit OK. Then we see this appearing in the Gantt chart. In just a moment, we have it here, and that starts a little bit later. And in this case, I also need a consultant for that job. And it takes, for example, only 60 hours. So I can just overrule that to 60 hours. And now I can upgrade my calculation and my forecast directly from the Gantt chart. So we scroll a little bit up now, and we look at budget and products. When you refresh this, we see here now two budget lines for diagnostic one for high-level design. The total amount of hours, 144, and here the 60 that I've overruled. And then we have here the total value. And this is now what is estimated for this specific project. At the right side we find products. So if you have products like we sell licenses, for example, you can directly add products to the project. And also here we use the quick create. So then you will find a quick create panel basically here as a part of the screen, and you can select a product from a specific price list, and then you can enter a product here. So going through the screen, Gantt chart, we have here the group calendar, of course, as well. So you can find the group calendar functionality that's loading up now. Then we have the sales forecast as well. So you can find sales forecast functionality in the project form. So this is the group calendar with my team and the appointments that we have. We here find the sales forecast. So I'm just going to open the sales forecast now. And in the sales forecast we find the forecasted hours that I just forecasted from the Gantt chart. So I updated from the Gantt chart my calculation and my sales forecast. And here we find also there's something changed here. We first need to filter here, and then it will automatically download that specific filter when I hit the refresh button. And we have also the invoice scheme and the project item activity. So that are all the standard components that you are having also now in 2011. A new feature is that in PSA 2013 you have the option to create an invoice for time and material grouped as the classic grouping always worked. So that means that if you create an invoice, it groups the invoice lines by hour type and by employee. But some companies like they don't like the grouping because they want to tweak the hours on the invoice, and then you want to have the details in the invoice. So with 2013 you have the option to generate your invoice detailed. So that's this option, and that means that every hour entry will also be on time and material items will be on the invoice and invoice line. So every hour entry with the description will be an invoice line on your invoice, and then of course you can change all those different hours in detail on the invoice without changing the original time entry. Yes, we are at the end of our session to get familiar with PSA 2013. The navigation is different. We find the navigation here with the tiles, and here we find all the PSA options that you're used to. Also, you see here the little section like projects and here resource planning. So those sections are still there, but they are in this case a part of this navigation bar. One of the important things, if you open a project, you don't open a pop-up anymore, but it opens full screen. Does this mean that you don't have pop-ups anymore? Yes and no. If you want to open a project, let's say in a pop-up or an item in a pop-up, you have always the option to hit right mouse click and open a new window, and then it opens still as a pop-up. So for people that love to have multiple pop-ups and screens next to each other, this is general for CRM 2013. So also for PSA, you have the capability to, with the right mouse click, basically open up a screen in a specific separate window with this feature that you see here, open a new window. So if you are in a project, for example, and you are reviewing your items, and you just want to review your items in a separate screen and not change the screen, you have that capability by just hitting right mouse click and then hit open a new window, and in this case diagnostic will be opened in a new window like it classically would do in 2011. Again, if you are in that specific item, then the whole screen changes in that item, in this case in diagnostic, and to navigate, we can here navigate to the next item, for example to high level design, and to navigate back to the project, you can hit on the project, click on the project, and you can go back to the project. You can also use the back button, but sometimes the back button doesn't bring you where you want to be, because if you're also in diagnostic and I go to high level design and I click back, then I will go back to diagnostic. So if you want to go directly back to the project, then it's easier to just click on the project. Creating projects can be done by clicking here on new, or you can use the quick create. Another option is that from the sales module, and then especially from the leads and opportunities, you have also the capability to use the business process flow and create a project directly from there. So if you have leads or opportunities, you have the capability to create a project from there as well. And you will find the project step as one of the steps of your business process flow here in the upper bar. So after the close, you can find projects. That's one of the business processes that you can apply. And really best practice is to use multiple tabs. For example, one for time entry, one for your utilization sheet. So you have multiple tabs instead of having navigating back and forward from, for example, your utilization sheet to your projects. You can have multiple tabs open. That really works very well with CRM 2013. And because everything is full screen, it makes also a lot of sense to have those multiple tabs. Okay, we are at the end of our little webinar to get familiar with PSA 2013. At this moment, you can download PSA 2013 from assistantsoftware.com/PSA 2013. You can only install PSA 2013 on CRM 2013. That's a question we got in an earlier webinar. So never try to install PSA 2013 on CRM 2011. Will not work, and it's not designed for that. If you want to upgrade from CRM 2011 to 2013, or you are basically forced to upgrade by Microsoft on the CRM Online platform to 2013, you can do so. You can upgrade, of course. We recommend to always upgrade first in a test environment. We can only be responsible for our own solution, so your own customizations, modifications, other third solutions that you are using. We don't know if they are compatible with CRM 2013, so please always update first your CRM 2011 live environment in a test environment and then upgrade directly your PSA environment to PSA 2013. PSA 2011 will work with CRM 2013, but it's not optimized for CRM 2013. So really best recommendation I can give you, if you upgrade to CRM 2013, also upgrade to PSA 2013. Feature functionality that we presented to you in the roadmap will be only developed for PSA 2013. So if you want to make use of the new features of PSA that you will see in the roadmap, you need to upgrade to CRM 2013 as well. I see that there are some questions coming in. If you have this moment any questions for me, please don't hesitate to put your questions in the question box. This is the moment. We have still 10 minutes left, so if you have any questions, please put your questions in the question box. A question from Kevin: are you going to continue developing for CRM 2011 solution? We are continuing to support CRM 2011 and also PSA 2011, so there will still be some small patches will be launched for CRM 2011, but the new functionalities, Kevin, and the new features will be only developed for CRM 2013. So bug fixes, yes. New functionality, only 2013. Kevin, was that an answer to your question? So people, thank you very much for your attendance to this webinar. We had today a lot of attendees. We're very happy. We are almost hitting 100 people. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions in the future, please don't hesitate to contact us at support@assistancesoftware.com or send an email to sales@assistancesoftware.com. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you don't have any questions anymore, have a great day, great morning, or great evening. Thank you. Bye.